Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Baxter, and this is my discussion for our DBA 625 Module 6. And it asks us to read a case study and to come up with two questions that we could present to the leadership of the organization to analyze their problem and to come up with a market strategy moving forward. The case study is named Did We Expand Too Quickly? By Greathead, and it was published in Harvard Business Review in November of 2019. In it, our protagonist, Mr. Ruiz, owns a climbing gym chain named Ascendancy. I'm not going to go through the entire case study, but my suggestion for market strategy moving forward is to capitalize on what we already know to strengthen our decisions moving forward. In the case study, the company looks at some quantitative data before they make decisions, and one might say that they did an okay but an incomplete job. And reading from the case study, it says the company looked at markets with English as a primary or dominant secondary language, and with a city plus suburb population of more than 2 million, with 2 or few existing climbing gyms, 1 million with 1 gym, and 400,000 with no gyms. So, and that worked for them until it didn't. So my first question for the assignment is, who is your current market? And this would be a quantitative study that looks at current gym members and what their age, what their gender, and what their income is. And from that data, we're probably going to see how the market may vary or change from city to city, and then region to region, and country to country. And perhaps you're going to see a lot of similarities outside of two different regions and outside of the countries, but you'll know from there what your market is and who is actually going to the gym in what areas. And so my second question is, who inside that market is not joining the gym? So this is kind of taking a bigger, broader step out, and we look at like a greater population from like a government census, and then we compare that with our data from our gym. So adding to our information from our first question, who's going to the gym, we look at who's not going to the gym, so everybody else, who's going to the gym, and how much of our demographic are we getting and how much are we not getting. So who inside that market is not joining the gym, and so from that target demographic and from our census data, we'll know whether or not we have any room to grow at all, whether we're plateauing, whether we're actually above or below. And I think we could have a lot of answers. We might be able to answer a lot of questions automatically, like maybe Raleigh could support an entire other gym from us. Maybe the population of Cardiff is an older population, and all around the rest of the world, the people who are going to our gyms are between 17 and 32 for the most part, and the primary age in Cardiff is 55 and up. So maybe you've already saturated the market there, and no amount of blood, sweat, tears, frustration, or money spent in advertising is going to help you get any further along in there. So those are my two questions. Who do we have, and who do we not have? In other words, who can we still get? And then the discussion question asks us to consider an appropriate design to support your research inquiry. And I think it's pretty descriptive in nature. Zhang, in one of the videos that we watched this week, described descriptive research design aims to obtain information to systematically describe a phenomenon, a situation, or a population. It more specifically helps answer what, when, where, and how, but it doesn't ask why. And so finally, it says discuss why your chosen approach would be the best outcome. And I would like to put an asterisk on that. I don't know that this approach is the best outcome forever, but I think that the easiest data to collect is the data that you already have, and we already know who our members are, and government census data is not hard to get. And so being able to make decisions more appropriately based on the data that we already have and probably already should have been using would be my first step moving forward. Now, I'm not saying that's the last step, but in this discussion we only have 2 questions to ask. Probably, just to be more complete, I would follow those questions up, like let's say in Cardiff, everything is right, the population is right, the ages are right, the income's right, everything is exactly where we want it, but we're still not getting the right numbers. Well, then I think we make the transition from quantitative concrete walls to qualitative, softer pillows. Why? And we start seeing those cultural differences and those cultural decision-making things happening. Why is it that they had great outcomes in Raleigh, North Carolina, and in Japan? That's, in my head anyway, that seems like a pretty large cultural divide. It seems like there would be less cultural divide between North Carolina and Cardiff, UK. But maybe not. And you're not going to know until you do that qualitative study and measure those differences and see why people make their decisions and how they respond with their money, how they're going to do things. So my initial 2 questions to get off the ground and running so that the company can make their best decisions is, who have we got, and who inside that demographic do we not have? And then once we make those decisions, once we look at that, then step off into a broader, more cultural or qualitative study on why. And that's all I have for this week. I hope you guys are having a good one, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend.